Hi my friends, this is Jen Jensen from Frosting and Glaze located in West Hartford. Glad to be here again. Today we're gonna make something called, in my family it was called Christmas bread. This is actual oatmeal honey bread, and my mom made it forever. She made it every Christmas time, only on holidays. She was making it by hand, so I understand, because she made loaves for everybody. Everybody got a loaf of this bread. It was the mailman, the milkman, the bagel guy, my school bus drivers, all of my teachers at school. Anybody got a loaf of bread for Christmas, and they would be wrapped up in Christmas paper really awkwardly, and everyone got a loaf. And she would only make it during Christmas time, so that's how it got the name Christmas bread. Now I make it all the time, and we use it for sandwiches, for breakfast. It's great for anytime snacks, and you can make it honey, you can make it molasses, you can make it orange marmalade if you wanted to, and I'll show you how to do that. But it's really easy, simple bread, and it's delicious. It makes 2 loaves at a time, and what you're going to need to get ready is you're going to need 2 bread loaf pans. I believe these are 9x5s or 8x4s. Either size is good. And you'll spray them with a spray. You need a package of yeast, or 2 1/4 teaspoons equivalent of active dry yeast. Half a cup of honey, or if you're going to do molasses, half a cup of molasses, or if you're going to do orange marmalade, half a cup of orange marmalade, or if you're coming up with something else on your own, a half a cup. Get it? There's a pattern. 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of whole oats, not quick oats, but whole oats. And then at least between 6 and 7 cups of all-purpose flour. You could use bread flour too, but all-purpose flour works really good for this recipe. You're going to need 2 cups of boiling water and 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. You could do salted if you want to. It's not going to make or break your recipe. I always say it's 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, but I always use 3. I never use 2 unless I'm really out. And then you're going to want a clean bowl eventually with a little bit of either vegetable oil, olive oil, or butter. Lightly oil the bowl or butter the bowl, whatever it is you have, just to keep your dough from sticking while it rises. So step 1, very simple, is 1 cup of whole oats. I'm making this in my KitchenAid with the dough hook, so I'm just going to put the cup of whole oats right in there, and then I'm going to add my 2 cups of boiling water on top of that there, and then I'm going to add just right in the center, don't mix it in, but just plop your 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, and then on that somewhere, just scrape in that honey. Or molasses, or marmalade, whatever it is you decided to use. I recommend starting with the honey, and you're not going to bite into it and say, ooh, this is like honey, and but it makes good sandwiches, you know, ham and cheese sandwiches too, so don't worry that it's going to be too sweet. Set your timer for 25 minutes. That's just going to sit there for 25 minutes. If you want, if your house feels a little drafty this time of year, or any time of year, you could take a towel and cover it, but set your timer for 25 minutes and then come back here and we'll move on. It's been 5 minutes, so what I want you to do is take your yeast and put it in a little bowl. That's going to be big enough to hold a 1/3 cup of lukewarm water. That's lukewarm, it's like 105, 110 degrees. The reason why is because you want your yeast to be activated. If it's too cold, it won't do anything, it'll stay dormant. If it's too hot, it will kill it, but warm, it gets it going. So you could just sprinkle it right on top. You don't even have to mix it, just let it sit there. it's just water, so the yeast is like, yeah, we're awake, but like not so thrilled because it really wants to get to that sugar and honey and flour and all the good stuff. So let that sit. Set another timer, 5 minutes, and then come back. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and your yeast should have you look kind of frothy or thicker in some parts, and you might see some little bubbles in there, which means that your yeast was eating and creating carbon dioxide, which is what you want. If it's gross, flat, all sink to the bottom, it's dead, don't use it. But otherwise, and then also if you know that you just made bread or something with yeast yesterday with the same yeast and it worked fine and you know everything rose like it was supposed to, then chances are that it's the same package or from the same package that the yeast is healthy and alive, so you really don't have to activate it for this type of bread. But it's just always good to be on the safe side so you know that your yeast is alive. Just get a clean bowl ready. Any bowl will do. You could plastic, metal, glass, doesn't matter. Put a little bit of, like I said, either olive oil, vegetable oil, or butter, and just kind of lightly wipe around so it's just got a nice thin coating of oil on the bottom. And then what we're going to do at this point is we're going to take our oatmeal, water, butter, honey mixture, and I'm going to add that teaspoon of salt now. And then I'm going to put it on the mixer with my dough hook, and I'm going to just have it on low and just mix that salt in there, and some of the other ingredients are getting mixed up as well. With salt, you never want to pour salt directly on your yeast. The salt will kill the yeast. So that's why you always, with yeasted doughs, you want to keep them as separate as possible. But when you mix the salt into something, then put your yeast in, you're going to be okay. So that's what we're going to do next, is we're going to take our yeast and we're going to scrape every bit out of there. We want all of that good, yummy yeast. So I scraped all that out. And I'm going to put that on low and mix that in there too. Now, you need anywhere from 6 to 7 cups of all-purpose flour. Start with just the 6, and you want to put that into your mixing bowl and mix that up. If then you need more, then you have that extra cup, and you can add a quarter, a half, the whole thing. It depends on the time of year you're making this bread. Where do you live? Is it really humid? Is it really dry? Is it the middle of winter or is it the middle of summer? So I find for me in my kitchen, I'm always good with 6.5 cups of flour. But let's say it's August in the Northeast, then I might need a 7. But we always start out with the 6, and then you add what you need. I like to just add all my flour at once, except for that 1 cup, and close my mixer, and then before I turn it on, and that's before I turn it on, I take the clean towel and I put it over the bowl. I'm only going to put it on stir, which is the lowest setting. I'm not going to ever go higher than that. It also depends on your mixer, because your mixer might be so strained, or it might be stronger, but we keep it on low when we're mixing doughs. You can easily do all this by hand. Well, not easily, you're gonna put some sweat equity into it. But definitely this whole thing can be done by hand. Or if you're looking for like a really good upper body workout, I suggest ditching the mixer and doing all this by hand. If you do it by hand, you're gonna have it all in the bowl, and you're going to add 1 cup of flour at a time as you're mixing until you can dump it out all on the bench, and then start kneading in the flour until you get up to 6 cups. But that's a really big workout that I don't really intend to have right now. So I turn it on to stir, and I'm letting it go. I put the towel over in case, you know, things happen with the flour. And then I'm just going to let the mixer do the work for me. These motors are really strong in these KitchenAids, so it will take minutes to do here what it would take me a lot of minutes to do by hand. So I'm happy to let KitchenAid help. So I'll show you what it looks like when it comes together. You want to see that all the dough starts pulling away on the sides of the bowl, and it's going to like start, my motor's going to start to sound strange, and then I'll know that it's almost dough time. And it just really takes a couple minutes. It's great. You see the dough starting to come up out, and that's okay. I just let it go. If you were to be doing this by hand, when you are kneading the dough, once it's all come together, you need to knead the dough for 15 minutes. Once you have all the flour in there that it can take, until it's nice and smooth. If you're just doing it on a mixer like I am today, I'm only going to do it for 5 minutes. So 15 minutes of sweat equity is equal to 5 minutes on this mixer. So definitely it speeds things up. So now I'm going to show you what this looks like. So there you go. That's what your dough should be looking like. I'm going to turn it off. I keep it on lock when I have my dough in there so the mixer doesn't pop up and down. Highly suggested. So this is what your dough should look like. You should be able to feel it, hold your hand on it, and then for like 20 seconds, and then when you pull up your hand, the dough doesn't stick to your hand. If you can do that, there's enough flour in there. If it's still very sticky to the touch, this is where you want to add another 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup. Don't go over 7 cups though, because then that dough will be too dense and not good. But this has taken about 6 cups. I could probably add another 1/2 cup. It could take, but I'm not going to, because I'm actually happy with this. But what I am going to do is let it go a full 5 minutes on my mixer. Okay, so your dough's been going for at least 5 minutes, fully mixed, right? Pull it out. If you want, you could use a bowl scraper if you have one to get the dough out. But it should pull out pretty nicely, and your bowl should be pretty clean. You might want to sprinkle a little bit of flour down on your counter, depending on what kind of counter you have. You might not need it. And then we're just going to knead it into a nice kind of ball. Doesn't have to be perfect. To knead, you just fold the dough over on itself using the palm of your hand and push forward and fold and push forward and fold and push forward until you get something kind of like a ball. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Then I'm going to take my oiled bowl. I'm going to put it face down first so that it gets some of that oil on it. It's really lightly oiled, so it's not going to be a lot. And then I'm going to turn it back around so that the smooth part's on the top. It's not a really big deal if that doesn't happen for you. Take a clean towel, cover your bowl, and then we're going to let this rise. I want it to double in size. For some of you, that could be an hour, and for others, that could be 2 hours. It depends on the atmosphere of the room you leave it in. So I'm going to put it somewhere kind of nice and not drafty, and I'll come check it in an hour, check the size, and then I'll check it again. You know, I'm guessing right now in my house it's probably going to be more like 2 hours. So check it in an hour if it's ready, and if it's not, let it go another hour. The beauty of this bread, this dough right now, is if, let's say you're like me, and an hour goes by and you didn't set your timer in 2 hours, and all of a sudden you're shopping, and then you come home 4 hours later and you're like, oh my God, dough. This is the first rise, that's fine. Don't worry about that. If it rises for a number of hours, it will be fine. It's the second rise you have to really put your timer on for. So I'll see you in a couple hours. Bye. Okay, hi. It's been an hour and 4 minutes, and my bread is actually ready now. I guess it was a lot warmer in my house than I thought it was. So first I'm going to take my bread pans. I need 2 because this recipe makes 2. And I'm just going to lightly spray inside. You could just lightly butter the inside. You could also use vegetable oil or olive oil, just a light coating. The spray I use is a non-stick spray that has flour in it. Your dough should look like this. See how it's definitely doubled in size there. It's big, beautiful. Pat it on the belly. It's great though. And what I want to do, you can punch it, let your kids punch it. That's always a lot of fun. Jess, you want to punch the bread? She's just being shy. So you can release the carbon dioxide if you want. It's up to you. Take out your dough. If you need to flour your surface, just a light flouring, you want to take out your dough and you want to divide it into half. You could weigh it out if you want, or you can just eyeball it. I'm just going to eyeball it. I use a bench scraper to cut my dough in half. You can use whatever you need to. If you want to rip it in half, like whatever floats your boat. You want them roughly about the same size. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it into a loaf. The way I do it is I just kind of fold it under itself, like that. And I want it about the same size as my pan. I don't really do a lot to it. That's it. Not very exciting. And then I just kind of fit it in there, like that. And I'll do the same with this one. I kind of tuck it under. I mean, you can roll yours. You can do whatever you want. You want to roll it and shape it so that you feel like you're doing a lot of work. That's fine. Some people need that feeling to get through their days. But just stick it in the loaf pan like that. Then I put them next to each other. I put them somewhere nice and warm out of a draft. Cover them with a towel. And then I'm going to let them go anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. I won't go over an hour. But definitely in 45 minutes I'm going to check and we'll take a look. If it's nice and high and it's risen well, then we're going to set our oven to 350 degrees. If it's not, we'll give it another 15 minutes. So let's start at 45 minutes. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. I want to show you what the bread looks like right now. It looks pretty good. It's kind of low. That would be kind of low. So I want it to go, I'm going to say another, anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. I want this to get higher, a bit higher. So that's what mine looks like now. And it wouldn't be bad to put it in the oven right now. It would come out fine. I just want it to rise a little bit more because I know it can. Okay, so I had put it in for 20 more minutes, and if you see it's a bit higher, a bit more raised, I like it like that. It could probably even go another 10 minutes or so, but I think that this is good. I'm happy with that, if you can kind of see. you set your oven to 350 to preheat, and so your oven's set at 350, and you want to put your 2 loaves in. You want your rack to be kind of in the middle. You don't want it too high and you don't want it too low. You want it right in the middle. Shut it. And timer, it's anywhere from 30 to 35 minutes. Set mine for 32. So it's been 32 minutes. And look at those beautiful loaves of bread. I'm gonna pull them out of the oven. Bread's done. You pull it out of the oven. It looks beautiful. What you want to check for doneness is it kind of has a hollowness to it when you knock on it. I don't know if you can hear that. What I like to do though is I put it on its side and kind of pull it out just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit for 5 minutes. So just let it rest on its side. It'll kind of come out a little bit if you use if it's a non-stick pan or you use some kind of non-stick spray or oil. Do this for 5 minutes. After, set the timer. Don't leave it in the pans. It'll, the steam will make it wet and it'll ruin. So 5 minutes just to cool it. And then after 5 minutes, take it out of the pan fully and let it be on a rack like this to cool completely. If you cut it right now, it'll be so where you make the cut, the bread will condense together and squish, and it'll get it looks like it's raw because it's so hot. And then you're gonna think it's raw and you're gonna be sad. So you do need to wait a little while, and I always say 10 minutes at least if you have to have hot bread. Otherwise, I would let it just cool down completely. And I like to for me, I like to leave a towel, clean towel, over it while it's cooling, just because so nothing else gets to it, like dogs or cats or children. And yeah, that's it. So bon appetit. I hope you do well when you make this. If you have any questions concerning the recipes, you can go to Facebook, Frosting and Glaze, and message me, or you can go to my website, and I think my phone number is on there, and also I think you can email me through there. I'd love to hear your feedback, and good luck to all those out there. And it's been wonderful spending this time together with you.